I'd like you to meet Hannah Grace Piper Foley. This is my dog, my family's dog, standard poodle. She's super cute, right? She loves us and we love her. Kids absolutely adore her. And I think a lot of people share that same feeling of bonding with their pets and with their animals, and they become a part of the family. I grew up with a dog. I understand what it's like to have that feeling of loss of a dog, and it's hard. It's definitely becomes a member of the family. And in divorces, one of the things that we run into a lot of times is issues with pets. And normally we're able to figure things out, especially if people have multiple pets. So if people have a couple dogs, it makes it a little bit easier sometimes. Maybe the wife will have an affinity more for one and then the husband for the other, and makes it a lot easier. It's different than children. You can't just be like, I like this one more and that, not that, pets a lot of times make it a little bit easier because overall, and the premise of the video is the current law in the state of Florida, and we're going to go into some other states and kind of talk about a little bit later on in the video of what some other states are doing and maybe where this is going and where it may go in the future. But right now, the law in Florida is that pets are property. And I know that's like never something that clients want to hear because they're part of the family. And sometimes they're nicer to us than our children are, and definitely extraordinarily loyal. It's an interesting relationship that what people have with their pets. And I get it. I understand. And I know it's hard. And I'll try to explain to clients a lot of times that it's not that the courts don't want to deal with it. It's not necessarily that the courts don't understand that it can be, devastating. Certain pets, sometimes can be extraordinarily close to their owners, and their owners can be extraordinarily close with them, and it can be heartbreaking. However, the current state of the law is their property. Somebody's got to pick it, choose it, or you sell it, or whatever. Court's not going to grant custody in Florida for a pet. It's 2021 when I'm making this video, and maybe in a couple years, we'll look back at it and there'll be some changes to it. So some of the specific cases, there's the Bennett case in Florida. That's kind of, there's a lot of precedent for some of these cases, but that's one to look towards, where the courts were very clear. They were, granting custody or visitation or time sharing with a dog or an animal is not appropriate for the court. And the court needs to look at it as personal property. And so just similar to a car or some other piece of property, that's how the courts are going to view it. The Bennett case is just indicative of the progression of case law throughout Florida of stating that their personal property, they're going to look at equitable distribution, distributing the different property. They're going to look at the value of the dog or the cat or, whatever animal we're talking about. So there's other cases out there in Florida. There's even some newer ones, and there's ones that came out this year, but it still just goes more to how you're enforcing property and property distribution, talking about distribution of assets and classifying something as marital or non-marital or premarital or whatever, not looking at custody or time sharing. So that's the current state of the law in Florida. So some other states, Alaska, California, and I believe it's Illinois, they view pets a little bit differently, and they do have the ability. I'm not going to say they're going to do it all the time because, again, I'm a Florida divorce lawyer. I'm just, from our research and looking into it, there are times when they can look towards whether or not it's appropriate to craft some type of what's in the best interests of the pet. Kind of like what they're looking at when you're looking at the determination of a time-sharing arrangement for a child. You're looking at what's in their best interest. So those states are a little different from the vast majority of other states. And actually, New York is going through a process to determine if they're going to enact and change kind of the way that they're looking at it as well. because again, this has just been long-standing law in so many jurisdictions, random cases throughout the years. I'm not going to go through every single state and what cases, but there's been there's been interesting ones over my career that I've seen that have popped up from other states and been like, wonder how that came up, and judges getting a little bit more involved with parakeets, and one of the spouses was teaching the parrot to say different things. So there's all kinds of different cases all throughout the United States with different things, but it just still comes back to that overarching position of the courts that pets are personal property. So there's also something in some states that attorneys are creating and parties are doing called Petnups, and kind of like a prenup to find a way to determine what will happen if the marriage doesn't work out, and specifically with the pet. So going a little bit more towards some of these other states that look at it more of a best interests analysis, similar to custody and what we're dealing and seeing with children. And just like here in Florida, that's the standard, is best interest of the child, and that's what the courts are supposed to be looking at. Another picture of my dog, because she's great. She's wonderful. She's a lot of fun. She does some really weird stuff sometimes, but she's a part of the family. So I get it that people so many times will come to us and ask, what is it that we can do to determine? And we just try to be as creative as we can in the settlement negotiations. Cases end at some point, and it's never been stopped just specifically because of the pet. So people find a way to resolve the situation, but it can be hard because sometimes people say, well, no. I want to go to court and I want to have the judge decide that with that. And I want to see if maybe, my husband can have a week with our dog and I can have a week, and we can and the judges aren't going to do that, at least in Florida. So whether that will change in the future here or whether that will continue to change in other states definitely remains to be seen. So if you got anything out of this video, please consider subscribing. You can like it if you so choose. And thank you. And you can always comment below about your situations with dealing with pet issues during a divorce. If you have a pet nup, again, I don't know anything about these pet nups. I've heard of these and it's interesting. So a little bit of information about how Florida's dealing with pet issues and how some other states are currently looking at it right now that differ a little bit from the way that Florida does. So thank you for watching.